And welcome in. We're here joined by members of the vintage football team as we talk about their preseason in this crazy short season that it is. So we're gonna get started here. First thing I want to ask is the schedule. You guys are the only team playing 6 games. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. It was an easy process just because we just took out the last week. We have a 7-week season normally, right, in league, and we only had 6 weeks. So as a league, decided just to take out the last week, and that happened to be our bye week, and so that's why it coincided with that. And that's pretty much it. I mean, there was a little bit of a debate with the taking out the first week, and I feel like. The word that we got back was just that Napa had that buy and that they were okay with us taking out the last week. So we roll with it.
And what does it mean to play all 6 games? This is one for everybody.
I mean, that's great. I mean, to be honest, if we would have had that buy, we would have went and played another team somewhere. As long, you know what I mean, as long as they matched counties or was within one. So the whole point was if we ended up with a buy, we had thank you. We had Rancho and Cardinal Newman, Vacaville. We had some other teams that we feel would have been a great matchup for us and would have been an awesome opportunity, right, to go play those programs. And so it just worked out that we didn't have the bye.
Players, anything?
Yeah, 6 games, 5 games, 4 games. It really didn't matter to me. What I really wanted was just to play football, and just getting the opportunity to play is all I could ever ask for. I mean, there was a time like 4 or 5 months ago when I really thought I wasn't going to be able to play. So just being able to play 6 games is just a blessing.
Yeah, just getting the most out of the situation we have, like we're in right now. Getting those 6 games is going to be great.
Gotcha. All right. So next up, let's kind of talk about the craziness of playing a season here this late in the year. Like spring training is going underway right now for Major League Baseball. How weird is it to be playing football this time of year?
I'll let the kids go first.
I mean, I thought it was going to be a little different because I thought usually around this time it's colder and rainier, so I thought that was going to be a big difference. But it's actually, in terms of weather, it's pretty similar to normal football season. The only thing is, usually like the second half of the senior year can be a little tough because you're so close to graduation. But football season, it doesn't really matter for me, fall or spring. It's just when it's football season, it's time to go. So.
Yeah, it's pretty weird to have sunlight at the end of the practice. We're usually in the dark with lights on at this time of the year.
True. Yeah, I just think, I mean, to us, I mean, obviously it's a little weird. For however many years of my life, when August came around, my mind started to switch into a mode of a more aggressive, and you know what I mean? It's football time. So it was really hard to deal with that process. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit later about the process for keeping these kids engaged for that long and how hard that was. But once we got the green light, it's like, I think all of us can attest to this, and Coach Raines can talk after this. I just think that it's go time. Sam just said it the best, right? We flip the switch and it's time to go. And so I think we all kind of have adopted that mentality. I know Coach Raines and I have obviously had that mentality for a long time. And I think the kids have that same exact mentality, and that's why we are who we are.
All right, cool. So now let's talk about the team in general. We were talking a little bit about this team. It's a very senior heavy team. It's loaded with talent all over the place. It's probably one of the best teams that I've seen since I've been covering high school sports. Talk about the variety of things that you can do with this team. I mean, you've got seniors leading the way at pretty much every position. And if you don't have seniors there, you've got experienced juniors. So go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, so I think we are senior heavy in a sense, but I think the push throughout the program, right, the last 4 or 5 years, has been to the point where we could get through and play with the junior and sophomore kids that we have now, and I feel like with that group that we would have some success, and I think that bids well for the following years coming up, but I think more importantly is just giving these kids an opportunity to play. And I couldn't be more proud of the way that they've handled all this, the way my staff has grinded through from July or wherever it was. And we really kind of started up back into the process. So I think these seniors, these leaders, obviously guys like Connor and Sam, and the way that they've led through this whole process, is made it so much easier on the lower levels and coming through the program. If we're going to talk just straight football, yeah, it's really nice to have guys that are 4-year guys, right? We've actually done some studies this offseason, Coach Raines and Coach Hall and myself on kind of who sticks with the program for 4 years and kind of try to identify them as freshmen, right? And I think these type of guys are the ones that make coaching, fun for us, and we can rely on them. And it's like, I can go to Sam and Connor and I can say, hey, I need this, and that I know it's going to get done. And I think that more important than just actual play on the field is their leadership ability and the way that they can get things done for us. So, and I'm sure we'll dive more into the team aspect, but I'm going to let Coach Raines get a word in edgewise here.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, guys like Sammy and Connor, the grind that they just went through with us, they should be commended for that. No days off, right? I mean, we had football on our mind, even when people were telling us we should give up. That's not who we are. I know for Coach Leach and myself and our coaching staff, we just don't kind of have that quit in us. And we found that the kids were, for their mental health, it's just having them something to do and getting them out lifting weights outside and conditioning and having these practices where we were social distancing. It was as awkward as it was still good for them, both mentally and physically. I can speak for Connor, as a leader. I don't know that I've had one much better. He's probably the smartest kid I've ever coached. I can literally walk away from a drill and go be gone for 10 minutes and come back, and we didn't miss a beat. And that's a direct reflection on him. He takes charge. The kids obviously respect him because he's one of the hardest working kids out there. And I just couldn't be more proud of this group. And I'm hoping that we have some success and send them off the right way in this short season.
Gotcha. Players, what's it been like getting back to it and, back to the grind here, finally having a senior season?
And we've been working on football since June. So it's been almost nonstop for the last year, 4 or 5 days a week, just playing football. And it feels like before we didn't really have a motive. I mean, I guess we did have a motive, but nothing was definite. And now we got the green light, and I feel like I'm getting that feeling I got last year when, like that adrenaline feeling before football games. Like I'm feeling like I'm getting that feeling back, and it's one of the best feelings we've had.
Yeah, these past couple of weeks have been rough, but they've been fun. It's nice to be back, hitting people and doing the things with pads and just having fun again.
All right, so now I want to talk about a coaching change that I had heard about. Dylan, you're coaching the line, right? And Dennis,
go ahead.
You're coaching the line, right? And Dennis, you're doing the quarterbacks. How's that been so far?
D, you can talk about your guys.
It's been a challenge. One thing that the guys that I've coached under have always done is they've found ways to challenge me as a coach. And Dylan, I think at times goes out of his way to make me uncomfortable. And I know it comes from a good spot, and he wants to see me grow in the game. I've spent about, close to 20 years coaching high school sports, and I've never coached a guy that didn't have his hand in the ground, whether it be tight ends or offensive line or defensive line. And this was a challenge, and a challenge that I loved it and accepted, and wanted to do everything I could to make us a better program. I was fortunate in that I have a 3-year varsity starting quarterback coming back who, outside of Coach Leach, probably understands our offense as a whole, as well as anybody. But I've had a player who I can go to and trust that he knows what he's talking about, because I'm brand new at it and I have questions.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and introduce Jacob and Bill as they just came on, but they're obviously, Jacob is our starting quarterback, and Bill obviously if would probably start at any other school we have, but he's also could be our tailback and a slot back, and he does a lot of things for us. So welcome them in, and I'll go out on a limb. I help out everywhere though, Kyle. Like I still have Coach Hall and I still have line coaches. To be honest with you, the plan was to dive more into the offensive line side, and that's the plan. And I'm really doing that in honor of my father, who passed away last March, because he was such a great line coach to me. And so that was the reasoning behind that. But at the same time, it also gets to a point where like you kind of have to be everywhere as the head coach. And so I don't get that opportunity to spend as much time down there. But the reason for that change is twofold. One, I don't have to deal with Jacob and Bill as much, so that's a great thing. Two is, I'm just kidding about that. I love those guys, but more importantly is I think Dennis is he's one of the best coaches and best motivators I've ever been around. And so for me, I'll be honest, D, I think I did him a disservice last year, and I thought I was doing him a solid, and it ended up being more of a disservice. And I should have known better, because it's happened to me in the past, where it was kind of like I wanted him to have some more free reign and be able to help everybody. And so we didn't give him an actual position. And I think that kind of hurts us as coaches, right? We don't have our group, we don't have our guys. I wanted him to be able to get back to D-line and have his guys there. But more importantly, I think I got a couple guys that have some great knowledge and also have some stubbornness to them. And it's a great mix, because so does Dennis. And they can work things out amongst themselves. And Dennis is a guy that I knew it would be a challenge for him. And so I knew he would step up to it. And he wouldn't have to rest on his laurels, and he'd have the opportunity to excel. And so when I made that, it was for a reason. And he's been nothing short of exactly who I knew he'd be. Studying, getting on YouTube, watching our huddle films, doing all the things that we need to do to prepare these guys to play. So it was kind of twofold in a sense, in letting him get back to coaching guys. And another thing, and to be honest with you, another reason was the fact that, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but there's often a divide right between that line group and those bigs and those skills at some point. And because it's not anything or animosity, it's more they just don't get to be around each other. And now I have a position guy who's a line guy who now has the backing of the quarterbacks, and it's kind of fun to watch those guys mesh. And I was kind of teasing Dennis earlier, but now when he brings sandwiches to all the line, he's got to add his 4 quarterbacks in there, right? And so it's like not only just costs them an extra $18, but now these guys get to eat too. And you look at Bill, we could use a sandwich or two.
Players, what's it been like for you guys? I mean, I'm sure it's a minor change, but have you noticed anything different? I mean, all up to you guys.
I think he's talking to the quarterbacks at this point.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that question for a sec?
What's up, Jacob? Have you guys
How's
noticed
it going?
any bit of a change from last year being coached by Leach to this year being coached by Range? I mean, a good change in a way, I'm sure, motivating and all that, but
Yeah.
just coaching styles and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely different. They definitely have different like coaching styles, but honestly, it's just like I don't know.
You want
I would say like at this point we're able to like just they can tell us what to do and me and Jacob are able to run it. So I feel like Range is just there to make sure we're on like those little things like footwork, foot placement, those kind of things. He's always on. Yeah, exactly. That's what I like with Range because it keeps me like humble and just with all the little things and all the fundamentals and footsteps and like I'm definitely not as lazy, I could say.
Carry out your things.
Yeah, carrying out my stuff like that. But
Well, that
yeah, and also just like I like the mentality of just like running the football, and Range does too. So I think we're kind of like on track with that, and like we know we're best at, and it kind of
I think too, Kyle, what happens is as a play caller, I get lost in the schemes a lot, right? And so when I'm calling a play and I'm watching it in practice, and I know where it's going, I know what it's supposed to be. So I tend to watch, where I want to watch, and sometimes I'm not watching the quarterbacks. And so when I'm not on them and not having that ability to stick to all those footwork and hand placements and their effort and carrying out fakes and all that, because I'm watching the play, well, that's a perfect time for me to have Dennis come in and really he's going to see if they don't do those things. And so it keeps them, as I said, more on their toes and more humble.
Gotcha. Perfect. So obviously the whole reason why we're here is because we're still in the midst of a pandemic. I want to ask you, how have you guys been navigating that pandemic, and what have been some of the tough parts and some of the things they've had to do differently throughout this whole time? Because obviously things just aren't normal still.
I'd say the biggest thing is working out, because we can't use our weight room as we normally would. So every day we gotta get out all the stuff, put out all the mats, and so we can work out outside. And by this point, we're all pretty much used to it. But I think we all kind of forgot that we normally would just go inside the weight room and do our normal lifts. But now that we're dropped down a tier, we can actually do that. So it's going to be nice to actually be able to go back to what we used to do. I mean, a little bit, not completely, but.
Connor or any of the boys want to go, and then Dennis, I can go last.
Everything we do is in the cohort, so all the linemen are together, all the position players are all together. So we kind of been able to create a bit better bond between each other, like grow together while we're working out and moving. We're walking out to the field. We're just all together, like close knit, and it's nice.
Yeah, to add on that, I think honestly this pandemic has like made our like team camaraderie just like all around just like better, and like everybody like vibes with each other like pretty well, and it's kind of like we're all on like the same page. And also just like I think it's this pandemic has just like created this like a little bit of like an anger for a lot of people, and they just want to and that's good to use like out on the football field. So I think that's also another thing that I think this team has in it, and it's going to be used on the field and when we're hitting stuff.
Coach, you got anything?
Anything, Bill? Anything, Bill? No. All right.
Yeah, I think anytime like a group faces adversity, and we faced a lot of it in the last 11 months, and we stuck together. We continued to follow the rules and like lifting outside, and all that adversity I think brought us closer. I know from a coach's aspect, we as a staff, absolutely, I feel like we're closer because of this than before. I mean, we just spent like 9 of the last 11 months together 4 or 5 times a week, all masked up and trying to give these kids some sense of normalcy. And I think the kids are appreciative of that. And yeah, again, I really look forward to seeing the product that we put out because of all the hard work that we put in and the obstacles, right? It was like a roadblock all the time. We want to try this. Well, I know you can't do that because of COVID. And then we had to, search for another way to get things done. And we just continue to do that as a program. And I think it's going to pay dividends here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, to add on, I think the hardest part for us in my position was, keeping 140 kids and staff engaged and trying my hardest to do that and then be the positive rock in that engagement when things didn't always look right. I mean, things weren't always on the up and up. So to keep the motivation and keep engaging and then keeping telling these kids and the trust that we will play, right? And thank goodness we are, because I don't know if I'd be able to look them in the face, right? Like I literally sat there for 8 months and told them like we're gonna play, like, we will play, keep going, keep fighting, we will play. And I think that the hardest part for me was, oh my goodness, like what if we don't, right? I gotta talk to these kids and let them know that. And I would have been devastated to do that. So engaging kids for that long, and then as I mentioned before, like I couldn't be more proud of their leadership, and then just the fact that they stayed engaged, man. And like Coach Rain said, I'm really excited to see the product, right? Because they put in their time, they've done their work. They're all 4-year guys. Obviously, Bill didn't get here till his sophomore year, so but if he was here, obviously he'd be a 4-year guy, right? And those guys are the heart and soul of our program. So I'm just so happy for them that they get this opportunity. And I have a feeling, going back to Jacob's anger, that it's gonna pan out when they get the opportunity to play, right? People are gonna notice that we put in this time and this work.
So from a football standpoint, as a coach, how weird is it to turn around as soon as the season ends and go right into spring ball?
Don't know. Yeah, it's unprecedented. But I do know this. I do know that we will not be able to turn right around and go into spring ball. These seniors obviously will get a huge outgoing from us, and a huge whatever we got to do to make sure they understand how much we care about them and all that. But I just don't know, and I'm not willing to look past these 6 games. And so when that time comes, we'll sit down as a staff and we'll prepare. And I know the kids will be with us and engage. And I think that, and Dennis and I kind of talked about this earlier, and we can, the kids can say yes or no on this if they want, but I'm pretty sure at this point, the kids understand what they're getting from us and their capabilities. And I think they understand, like, if we do the right things, then good things will happen to them. And they've all done that. And so I'm not too worried about like spring ball and going into it. What I'm really concerned about is letting these kids get their 6 games in. And when that happens, we'll send them off, and then we'll concern ourselves with the following year after that.
All right. So again, this is an unprecedented season, but to not have non-league and playoff games, what's that also like I mean, obviously the non-league, it hurts to not have that, but the playoffs especially, because you guys have been semifinalists for the last 2 seasons. So can you talk a little bit about that as well?
I'll let the players go on that one first.
The last 2 seasons put vintage football on a pedestal, and to not be able to continue our path to a section championship was a little bit heartbreaking. But at the same time, we know if we had playoffs this year, that it wouldn't be any different. Besides, we'd get 2 more wins than we did the last 2 years this year. But our goal was to win a section championship, and we know we know that this year was going to be our year, especially since our senior year.
Otter, anybody?
Yeah, with the non-league games, they're games to we're able to show off our skills against different teams that we don't usually face, that are tougher. And like the losing the San Ramon game, I know it hurt Leach and it hurt all of us because most of us were up there our sophomore year at playoff games at that game, and we just want that back.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like we just had everything kind of come together this year, like players wise, and we just thought, we had high hopes. We came off a great year last year. We only lost by 7. That's only a couple plays away. So for us, it was like we were just ready to go all out, and just everybody was committed. We had all our guys. We were just ready to go, and it sucks that it like got taken away. But at the end of the day, games are only half. Games are only half. You know what I'm saying? We still got 5 days a week that we're with the rest of it. We're with coaches, we're with friends. So.
Yeah, I know from my end, and kind of piggybacking on what Connor said is that the preseason hurt in a sense for a few reasons. One, I felt like we had established probably one of the top 5 league or preseason schedules in all of California. If you look at going to San Ramon, that was going to be the number 6 and number 17 in the North Coast section right off the bat, and then playing El Cerrito, who's an up and coming team every year, and then obviously, I was most excited about taking this group down to LA and playing in down there. And that would have been an awesome trip, and these kids deserved it. And I missed out on that because I don't know when those things will happen again, right? We played long and hard, and we made it happen, and that would have been a great opportunity. And then coming back up here and able to revenge our only loss of the season the year before. So I look at things like Bellarmine. I look at that as like, man, that took our perfect season away, right? We were 9-1, at that point, you know what I mean? And that hurts me. Connor said taking San Ramon away. I don't take those losses lightly in the section semifinals, and it irks me, you know what I mean, to this day. And so I would have loved that opportunity. And to San Ramon's credit and coach over there, he said after that game, because I told him, we got to play you again. We got to play you. This doesn't sit well, and I got to play you. And to his credit, he made that call, and that would have been an awesome introduction to our first game. And then obviously going into the playoffs this year, we kind of had a battle cry, and we won't push it now with this group because we don't feel it fits, but we kind of had a motto of why not us, and that motto, why not us, was someone's going to have to go in and beat those top 4 teams in the section, and we were, that's how we felt. Why not us? Why not us? We worked the hardest. We put our time in. These kids grind, these coaches grind, and I felt like we were missing out on that opportunity. But kind of going off piggyback what Bill said, it's like, does that frustrate me? Yeah, but at the same time, I get to hang out with these guys every day, right? And I have that opportunity, and I don't know if I could say that there's anything better than that. It's about, you know what I mean? It's the best thing. It's good for us, good for our mindset.
Gotcha. So let's see what. The next thing I want to talk about is, let's see here. I talked about that. Some of the league games here. Obviously, you guys are playing everybody. There's been some games that have been tougher than others, obviously, for the last few years. You guys haven't, knocked on wood, not lost a game yet in league. So what games are you looking at that could be challenging? Obviously, American Canyon is always going to be a tough one. Napa is always going to be a tough one. I mean, those were the games that really kind of gave you your best shot last year. Want to talk a little bit about that?
I'm going to shoot first, just so you guys kind of have an idea of what. And I know I would trust you guys to say the same thing. Kyle, the team that you didn't mention is the team that we play first, and
Casa.
to us, that's our Super Bowl, and that's all we care about is playing Casa Grande, and that's the only thing that we've ever talked about in the last 8 months. Was that if we get a chance to play league, we're playing them first. And so to us, we want to play Casa and we want to play them bad. And everything else will be the following week. So as soon as Casa's gone, and I'm pretty sure these kids would say the same, we got another Super Bowl against Petaluma. Right. And that's how we approach things. And I think that these kids understand that. And I tell them this all the time. We are riding on the shoulders of giants who haven't lost a game yet in league, and we don't want to be that team, right? We don't want to be the one that does, in a sense. So that's all I answer, and and I don't mind you guys going on and us tossing Napa and AC. I'm totally okay with that, but I think they'll say the same thing, that we got one game that we're worried about. And that's, I won't say worried. We got one game we're preparing for, right? I don't think we're worried about anything, but we're preparing for one game. And that's the game that we're gonna go in and fight for. Sorry to hijack you guys, but Jesus, go ahead.
Yeah, I think going off that, I think Bill and I both agree that we just want to play Casa. So yeah, that's really all I have to say.
I would say we just want to show like what we're capable of. We just want to put out good crusher football, and at the end of the day, whoever's lined up against us is it's gonna be a ball game. It's a 4-quarter game for a reason.
Sam, how about you, bud?
Yeah, our mindset is just take it 1 week at a time. If we worry about too many things at once, then it'll take us off the focus of that week. And right now we're just worried about Casa, and then the next team. We don't really look too far ahead. That way we can stay focused on what's ahead.
Hunter?
Yeah, I think like backing what Sam and Coach Leach said is every week's a big game for us. Every week's a Super Bowl. Every week's that's what our mindset is on. That team, their plays, it's only on them and nothing in the future.
Gotcha.
I want to reiterate one thing, Kyle. Last night, Dennis and I were talking about this. I watched our game of 2018 versus Petaluma on YouTube, and it was the YouTube channel of Petaluma, and there was commentators. The guy was talking about it, and it really gave me a different perspective of what other teams. And I know this perspective from coaching when I was down the street or when we've been good before here. But it really gave me a good perspective of what other teams think. And what he was talking about was how much hype Petaluma had that whole week going into that game, because it was championship week. You got to understand, they were undefeated in league. They were 2-0 when we played them. And it was, to them, the hype was so big. It was championship week, and the interviews they gave to these kids and what they said about us and their coaching staff and what they talked about us. And I think at some point we feel like we're going to get everyone's best shot, right? I mean, that's who we are, and we deserve that. And when that's the case, we're going to have to live up to that, right? We're going to have to defend that. And I think taking everyone's best shot for us means that we have to prepare to the greatest degree, physically, mentally, and game plan wise for each game, and we can never go past the game, or else that sneaks up and bites you.
Gotcha. Makes sense to me. So 10 days away is that Casa Grande game. They're an up-and-coming program. Do you want to talk a little bit about what they do well scheme-wise and sort of like how they're an up-and-coming program again?
Yeah, D, you want to take anything on that?
Yeah. Their defense is solid. They return a defensive lineman who might have been one of the best all-around players we faced all last year. He gave us fits, and he's going to be a handful again this year, and we're really looking forward to that challenge.
Yeah, for sure. I think putting that challenge out there, right, and letting the kids know, like, and humbling them. Remember what happened last year. Remember this guy because he's back, right, and he's going to do that again, and we got to step up to that. I think offensively, they obviously have a couple deep threats that can throw it down the field. And then they obviously can run a little bit of their power game and a little bit of their option game. I feel like defensively that we're solid though. And I'm really anxious to see this group on the field and running around and getting to let out what they've had inside them for the last 8 months against that team. And we welcome that challenge, right? We welcome the up and coming. We want that team. We want them first, right? And if people in the community, especially over there, I'll be honest, I hear rumblings all the time about Casa this, cost of that, cost is loaded, cost is here and there. And it's kind of invigorated, or I don't even know if that's the right word. It's kind of invigorated us, right? We when you hear about something like that and you could take that two ways. You could rest on your laurels and say, oh, well, they haven't beaten us yet, right? Or something to that effect. Or you could take it as we do as a challenge and literally put our heart and soul into this preparation. And I hope they are who they say they are at this point. I hope they are. I really do, because I want that challenge. And I know these kids want that challenge. And we want to push ourselves and we want to see who we are in this first game. And it's coming quick.
Makes sense to me. Let's see here. I know you guys aren't much about rankings. I know that about you guys a lot, but coming into the season, you're ranked number 9 in the Max Preps rankings for the North Coast section. Do you take pride in that? I mean, I know you're not about that, but it has to give you pride a little bit, right? To know that you're finally on the mark, like, of being one of the top teams in the section.
We're not about rankings, but did we move down 2 or what? Because I thought we were 7. I'm just kidding. I'm like, what happened? I thought we were 7.
It's their preseason.
No, I'll let the kids talk. I mean, they let them have that one about rankings. It's all good, guys. Maybe shoot the question again, Kyle. To them.
All right, players. So what does it mean to be ranked number 9 in the Max Preps North Coast section rankings here at the beginning of the season? Do you guys take pride in that?
I know I've only been on varsity last year. I wasn't there in 2018 when they first had their section semifinals run. But it's a really nice feeling knowing that all our hard work has kind of paid off. Not that we only did it for the rankings, but just to know that everything we've done to put our program at the level it's at, and the fact that it's recognized, it's a nice feeling.
Yeah, being able to see what this program has come from and now what it is now, as I grew up with my dad coaching at Vintage and always being there and seeing what Vintage has done to put our name on the map, it's kind of crazy in a sense.
Hey, Leach.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are number 7.
That's right. We are number 7.
That's in their computer rankings, but in their number 9 in the rankings released by Mitch Stevens. But yeah.
Oh, come on, man. You couldn't give us number 7? Jeez.
I'll mention that. I'll mention that.
No, I'm just teasing. I'll just play it. But I think here's one of the things. Coach Raines and I, we're going to downplay that to these kids. You know that. Kyle, you've been around us a long time. You know that we're going to downplay that. But let's be real. It's an honor for these kids to see their hard work pay off. And here's the thing, too. You don't get these honors unless the previous class did it. Right. And they didn't get that honor unless the previous class did that. So if you take 2 years ago, if you think about it, when we, 3 years ago, we went into the playoffs at 7-2 minus the fire game where we couldn't play. And we were a 15 seed against Intercom, right? And then we put ourselves on the map. We feel like playing them to the game that we played to them. And then the following year, we go in with the undefeated league season at 8-2. We'd only lost the first 2 games. And I'll be honest with you, we played a game and a half bad. And then we hadn't played a game bad since. And we went in as an 8 seed, right? And so I think the respect came the following year where we got the 2 seed, right? And I think that's the progress that's happening at Vintage. And I think these kids have lived up. The ones on this Zoom and the rest of the team have lived up to those previous teams. And I felt like, we have to win the table, or I can't say this about them, right? So they understand that. They hear this every day from me. If we don't win out, then I can't put this out there to them. But if we're lucky enough, or I don't even want to say lucky enough, because I think we prepared hard for it. So if we do what we're supposed to do and we end up running the table, then I'm gonna go to my grave telling everyone that this is a section championship type team, right? I mean, there's no way I wouldn't. With the returners we have that played last year into that 10-2 season, and literally, if you look at the Campo game, I watch it on film all the time. We dominated that game minus 3 long passes. Literally dominated the game, and so I think these kids deserve those rankings. I think it's important for them to screenshot them and see them and understand that their work put them there. But when it's all said and done, you're only as good as your last game. And if you lose one, those rankings go bye-bye. And so it doesn't really matter at this point.
Makes sense to me. Yeah, well, I think that's all I've got for you guys. So thank you very much to everybody who came and took part in this conversation. Dylan Leach, Sam Neal, Connor Smith, Dennis Rains, Jacob Aaron, and Bill Chides.
Kyle,
Thank
one
you.
second. Hey, is Biggs around? Where's Biggs? Get him in this video. Let's introduce Biggs. He's another captain of ours, Kyle. And I want to make sure that he's another lineman captain. And I want to make sure that we all know that Wyatt Chides is Bill's brother, is a leader too, and he's one of our better players, returning left tackle. And I cannot wait to see what this man's hard work will do once we get a chance to get on the field. All right, appreciate you guys.
All right, thank you very much, everybody.